Hey, good Wednesday morning, everybody. This is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. A lot to talk about in the vlog today, so this is going to be a little longer than normal, so bear with me. A lot to talk about. Is a very serious situation could be setting up for parts of the Carolinas into Virginia. This is really going to be about rainfall. I'm going to try to focus on impacts as much as I can, but we're going to talk about some of the nuances and some of the systems coming together to cause this potentially significant weather event on the East Coast. We'll get right into the details. The first impact is going to be from a cold front sweeping down from the north. With that cold front is a big trough of low pressure that's going to get cut off from the upper atmosphere and kind of sit over the southeast. And then obviously the third and probably biggest input is going to be from Tropical Storm Joaquin. Not maybe directly, and don't get caught up in Joaquin, where it's going per se, and what kind of wind and surge. That's going to be an issue on the coast. This is really about the three things coming together to cause a real big mess across the southeast. We'll go right to the model plots for Joaquin because this is key to what I think is going to happen later today. You can see this clustering right around the Virginia-North Carolina border. That's key because the Hurricane Center is likely going to update their track here shortly at 11 o'clock. This was their track earlier. You can see it's on the right side of the envelope, we call it. And I suspect we'll see a shift to the west. But I will tell you, their cone does include parts of North Carolina and Virginia. And you should always focus on where the cone is from a larger scale standpoint than more directly what's going on with that straight line in the middle of the track, because really that's not what you need to focus on. Taking a look at the water vapor loop, you can see some of these pieces coming together. The trough is digging down, the cold front is in here. Here's Joaquin. There's another piece that's also kind of key. There's a blocking high pressure that's building in over the northern Atlantic. This is going to keep Joaquin from going this way and really force not only Joaquin back west, I think, a little bit, but it's going to cause this trough to what we call become a negative tilt. So let me erase some of these lines. Typically, a trough of low pressure will come down in this orientation with a positive tilt, which means it's tilted like that. This is going to come down and it's going to take on a negative tilt eventually, which means the axis of the trough is going to be like that. And because the flow is like this around a trough, it's going to kind of suck this entity of Joaquin into the mix and cause a real big mess. So as we look at the GFS model, this is the first model I'm going to look at on the windy map. You can see by 8 a.m. on Sunday, it has a system off the Outer Banks as it tugs it back to the west. That's kind of key onto how this system gets to this location. So let's go back to the model data again. We'll turn everything off here and show you how this unfolds. So what I put on here is the future rainfall and the 500 millibar height. So you see our trough clearly here. You can also see we've got the blocking high over the North Atlantic. Watch what happens as we go through time on this GFS model. You can see how that cutoff is going to start to develop over the southeast. You see how there's a circle? That means it's starting to get cut off from the jet stream. And watch what happens as we go through time as it begins to pick up Joaquin and kind of slingshot it back towards the coast and wraps around the upper low. Also notice what's going on. Even this is Joaquin down here. Look at all the rain that's developing. Because remember, we've got a front, we've got an upper trough, an upper low, and a lot of tropical moisture in place. So even if we took Joaquin out of the mix completely, you would still have a lot of rain in the Carolinas. Watch what happens. Joaquin is still well off to the southeast. And as we start going into Saturday morning, look at all the heavy rain that develops across Virginia and North Carolina. That's because the interaction of the tropical moisture, the cold front, and the upper low causes an axis of very, very intense lift. This is going to be pretty amazing rainfall rates if this verifies. And this is the thing. I don't know where this band of heavy rain is going to set up. That's a really extreme event to try to forecast this far ahead of time. But it looks likely that there's going to be some kind of heavy rain band somewhere in the Carolinas. So I jumped ahead a little quick. This is 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon going into Saturday night and then early Sunday. And you can see as we get into Sunday morning, that's where the hurricane starts to sling back towards the coast and move inland, maybe even into Monday morning. So this is the scenario. You could see the upper low kind of grabbing it and slinging it back to the west. And this is all happening because there's blocking going on right here. You see the big ridge? There's a ridge developing right here, which is going to block this from moving out. And so there's your negative tilt to the trough. That is a negative tilt, and that starts leaning this system back to the west. So what that means for us here in at least western and central North Carolina, yeah, wind is something we'll keep an eye on. But I'll be honest with you, it's all about the rain. All about the rain. We start looking at the outlook for rainfall. This is from the Weather Prediction Center, QPF totals. And again, here's the chart, but this is kind of a rough estimate. Most of these areas in North Carolina, you're talking 12 to 15 inches of rain up into Virginia. And for Charlotte right now, this is about 4 or 5 inches of rain. And just to add credence to that, these are these Schreff plumes. You see me show these in the winter. The Schreff mean, or the mean of all the model runs of the Schreff, is about 3.66. And again, this is only through 2 o'clock Saturday. So I'm thinking 4 or 5 inches, certainly in the realm a possibility for the Charlotte area. And depending how things shape up, you know, you're talking about totals here in North Carolina, especially from Greensboro to Raleigh, could approach, 15 inches. That's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. And you throw that on top of the already saturated soils, could be a serious threat. So as far as time frame for all this starting to happen, it's really Friday night, Saturday into Sunday. So the weekend forecast going downhill quickly, especially Saturday. So all I can tell you is we've got time. Today's Wednesday. You've got weekend plans, travel plans, or whatever you're doing. Start thinking about now what you're going to do to get ready for this. And a couple of things I would do is get an emergency kit ready. Be prepared for trees to come down with the wet soil and a little bit of wind from a tropical storm or a hurricane moving inland. That will bring down trees and power lines. And because power lines will come down, plan for power outages. And all this is just to be safe. Better to be safe than sorry. Plan for the worst. Hope for the best, I always say. So good idea to get those plans in place now. We've got a couple days to prepare. Maybe fill the gas tank up, grab some extra water, maybe cut some limbs that you think are too close to the house, maybe get stuff out of the yard that could blow around. And if you live near a creek and stream, kind of keep an eye on it. You might want to move stuff that typically gets flooded, maybe a shed, a garage, the bottom floor, to a spot that's safe. Of course, I'm going to be on a conference call here shortly with some of my team members and the corporate members, and we'll start talking about preparing for this on our level. We're already doing it, so you should do it as well. And I'll have complete details starting today at 4, 5, and 6. And make sure you follow me on Twitter and Facebook, wxbrad or Brad Panovich Meteorologist. I post frequently. Ask anyone who follows me. I do it all the time, and we'll keep that up to date as we go throughout this event. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you at 4 on TV.